A legendary Oglala war leader shattered the 7th Cavalry and broke Custer at the Little Bighorn. His prowess was tied to a spiritual vision that allegedly made him impervious to enemy fire. On the battlefield, the records support the myth. Across a decade of war, he was never wounded by an opposing soldier. Yet, despite his massive historical footprint, Crazy Horse remains a ghost. In an era when the American West was being cataloged by the lens, he left no definitive physical image behind. This lack of imagery was a deliberate choice, not a lack of opportunity. His contemporary, Sitting Bull, was well documented by photographers of the period. Other major leaders, like Red Cloud, also allowed their images to be captured, ensuring their faces would be preserved for the historical record. But Crazy Horse refused. He lived with a conviction that the camera would steal his shadow, and he guarded his likeness with the same intensity he brought to the battlefield. Because he successfully dodged the lens, his physical reality remains a vacuum. That absence makes any claim to a true photograph of Crazy Horse a high-stakes historical prize. This mystery is why the world took notice when a contested tintype surfaced, claiming to finally fill that vacuum and reveal Crazy Horse's face. A powerful oral tradition defends the artifact. The story claims the image was hidden by his wife, Black Shawl, and passed down in secret for generations to honor her husband's wishes. The testimony comes from Ellen Howard, whose father was the scout Little Bat Garnier. She claimed her father convinced Crazy Horse to pose in secret, swearing a vow to never reveal the photo's existence. There is an emotional logic to this tradition. A secret, guarded image perfectly matches the personality of a man who spent his life fiercely distrusting outsiders. Now, we have to determine if this family tradition has preserved a legendary historical artifact, or if the story contradicts the rigid facts of the 19th century record. To test the claim, we have to move past the legend and look at the archival record, beginning with the physical biology of Crazy Horse himself. His friends described a man who looked different. He had uncharacteristically light hair, a sharp, straight nose, and a slender build. He also carried the mark of a trauma. A rival shot him in the face, leaving a pronounced disfiguring scar on his left cheek. When we compare these biological facts to the man in the contested tintype, the evidence doesn't fit. The subject in the photo has a broad face, darker hair texture, and no sign of that signature facial scar. The biological evidence recorded by his closest confidants contradicts the artifact preserved by the oral tradition. The investigation then shifts from the biology of the man to the technological constraints of 1870s photography. The wet plate collodion process was anything but a snapshot. It required a subject to pose perfectly still while a photographer mixed volatile chemicals in a bulky, portable darkroom. This complex setup required a professional, which brings us to the documented movements of the photographer J.H. Hamilton and the scout Little Bat Garnier. Archival diaries reveal a fatal timeline discrepancy. During the brief window Crazy Horse was at the Red Cloud Agency, Little Bat and the photographer were never in the same place at the same time. There is also the evidence within the tintype itself. It features an elaborately painted studio backdrop, a piece of equipment that simply didn't exist in a makeshift agency camp on the plains. Peer testimony also points to the clothing. The man in the tintype is wearing a hair pipe breastplate, an ornament his friends say Crazy Horse never actually wore. Both the laws of 19th century chemistry and the rigid dates in archival diaries make the creation of this specific tintype historically impossible. Despite the emotional power of the family's tradition, the weight of biological and technological evidence proves the tintype is a misidentification. This raises a deeper question. Why have we spent a century trying so desperately to prove this single piece of tin is real? Modern society is uncomfortable with absolute mystery. We want to pin our heroes down, demystify them, and categorize them into a visual record. But that desire to capture him ignores his lifelong theme of evasion. He successfully dodged the army, he survived the battlefield, and he violently rejected the push for cultural assimilation. The missing photograph is the testament to his legend. In life and in death, Crazy Horse's shadow remains untamed and permanently uncaptured.